hopefully I am live. Let's refresh that. Oh, yes. I'm going to mute that for a moment. Ooh, is it morning still or is it afternoon? Let's have a look. It's just gone afternoon. So good afternoon, everybody. Anyone going to say hello? See, we have 7 watching already, which is brilliant. Thank you very much for stopping by. This is going to be a live kick in the nuts for serial troll Miles Delia Davis. Hi, Ron. How's it going? Now, in case you guys don't know who this pretendee clown is, he is what's known as a serial troll, and he is always manipulating evidence to try and suit the ball. Who else have we got? Oh, we got Conspiracy Cats. Hello, Conspiracy Cats. Nobody time him out because I quite actually enjoy his take on the way he delivers his content, even if I don't agree with it. Who else do we have? Dave Poole. Hiya. Hi, Shane. Everybody else stopping by? Perfect. Yo, FE crew for sure it is. Well, I see. That can be banned. Definitely that can be banned. So you guys fire away. Nathan Oakley is a piss drinking, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, get him banned. Conspiracy Cats, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mod you up simply because it's not that I am conspiring with you. It's just so that other people do not ban you. Because if you've got something to say, because I know that you wanted to do a video on this too, so perhaps you're here for a bit of information, which is good. You might be able to see how Ball Earth proponents like Miles Davis, etc., go around trying to fudge the math and basically lie about evidence that's provided to them. So obviously this might be a learning experience for yourself, because obviously you'll look at this and with a bit of luck it might convince you some way that gravity doesn't always pull the water into a curve. Yeah, I have been dissing Simon Dan. You know, I think his work is underwhelming, to say the least. Definitely underwhelming. You know, his content is, in my opinion, shit. You know, if you're comparing him to people like Red's Rhetoric and stuff like this, even Slice Bar came to where he was a bit of a troll. Doesn't offer much in the way of evidence, but not many of them do, to be fair. Right, so where are we? Miles Davis. So let's get Miles Davis's video up, shall we? Miles Davis, Flat Earth. And here we go. And this is his claim. This is his claim that there's an awful lot of content in here. He waffles on for 35 minutes, and he goes on to say that I should see essentially all of this building, which I have said on numerous times. There is a seawall, a sand dune in front of the building. Right now, I can't recall exactly how many times I've said that. Perhaps 50 or 60 times maybe at different points, but you can actually see the chimneys poking out behind this sand dune that's in the foreground. Of course, when we go down to some of the comments and such, we get a lot of trolling, basically saying that I'm lying through my teeth, etc., etc. I'm proving the globe, all this rubbish. Yeah, I mean, it's predictable that you get these trolls living on the words of this guy. 72 likes, 8 dislikes. I haven't disliked it yet, so I'm actually going to dislike it now because it's not correct data. 644 views. Okay, so essentially he goes throughout the video saying this house should be visible in the observation, and I've said numerous times that there's a seawall in front of it. He specifically, I mean, I can't play the video with you hearing it, so I'll have to outcrop that and do it in the video later. But he challenges me to prove him wrong that this lighthouse is not sat on top of the hill, right, which he claims in Google Earth. I'll show you that in Google Earth right now. So he claims that this, if you hover over here, you can see at the bottom the elevation, that's down here. Got a little elevation thing that says 5 meters there. When you hover it over the lighthouse, it says that the elevation is 9 meters. And then he goes to move across to towards the sea. It comes down, it goes to 8 meters, 7, 6, 5, 4. So he assumes from this and makes quite wild claims that this is sat on top of the hill, at the top of the hill. And this lighthouse with its adjoining house and wall that goes around it should be visible. Now, I might have an image of that. Perhaps, where would we find that? So, here we go. So, here we have the lighthouse, the house that adjoins it, the wall. Now then, this is a screenshot that I'm going to show you guys in a moment. It's from a gentleman that did a video with a high definition drone, and he was in the area. I think he actually lives in the lighthouse, if I'm correct. But I've got permission to use his video from him because essentially it just knocks his complete claim out of the water. Now, I think you guys already can see where this is going to go. I've lined up the buildings here. Obviously, this is the corner of the brick wall. There's the house. There's the lighthouse. And if I go to Google Earth and I zoom in, obviously I've got this line here. This line is running in the same direction. We've got the corner of the wall. We've got the lighthouse and the house here. So this is the exact line of sight. And this guy that's filming with his drone is sat here. He's in a wheelchair and he's sat in this position here. And what happens is he lowers down the drone. He's continually capturing both the house and this area of land over here, which coincidentally comes inside with these lines that go across the map here, which is my line of sight. So from this, where my cursor is now, follow this line across. That is my direct line of sight to the lighthouse here, which has to go over this area. Now, if I show you that image again, I think you'll know where this is going to go right now. This is the line of sight. Obviously, there's the sea over here. And what I've done is I've stopped it at the horizon. We all know the horizon is level. So we've got a horizon that's level. Oh, where are we? Let's scroll in a bit. So I've managed to stop it at the exact point where this hill, which I've said is there all along, this sand dune, is essentially level with the horizon. You know, it goes even slightly higher a bit further up here. And then if we come across to the other side, I've also stopped it coincidentally where the rooftop of the house is, because there's the horizon in the distance and there's the top of the house. So by virtue of using the horizon as a leveling mechanism, we can conclusively prove that the height of this sand dune on the left here is the size of the house. And how do we know it's a sand dune? Well, first and foremost, take a look at this trailer here, and behind it we have a hut, and our line of sight to the water is hidden by this sand dune, this wall that protects Walney and protects this lighthouse from the incoming tide, the incoming swell. I'm going to show you a bit of the drone footage now. So let's go up to here. So this is the end of the video, essentially. This is the gentleman. He's sat on, I believe, some kind of mobility scooter or something like that. But here we go. He's going to be lowering his drone now. And I want you to pay attention to this area of land here where my cursor is right now. This is the hill, and it goes all the way around. It literally goes right up to the top. I mean, I've been in this area and I walked it. I've filmed from this location way up the top there, and I've also filmed from this location here. I've been to this area, so I know it. And watch what happens when he lowers the drone. You can pay attention to here. Can you see how this mound now rises up? And when we get to level, you can see that there's definitely a hill there. There is definitely a hill surrounding this building, right? So I do not have a direct line of sight to the house. And I've already showed you how the height of the hill can be calculated by measuring the height of the top of the roof of this building. When I lower it down, you can see everything's falling into perspective. Pause. Oh, perfect. Look at that. Couldn't have done it any better. Absolutely spot on with the horizon of the house. And the hill on the left is spot on with the horizon too. So what should I see from this position? Should I be able to see the wall that's down here that he claims is on a hill? He claims this entire building, including the lighthouse, is on a 9-meter hill, which is the highest part in this area. He doesn't acknowledge that the amount of times I've said there's a wall in the way of sand, a hill that stops me seeing the house or the bottom of the lighthouse. So the only things that I can actually see, we have a direct line of sight, is the 2 chimneys. We've got a chimney here, we've got a chimney there. We've actually got a 3rd chimney on the other side. And my direct line of sight means that I can't see the middle chimney. So I can only ever see the right hand and the left hand one. But we do see the chimneys in the videos that I've done many times. And I think this is absolutely concrete proof that Miles Davis is talking out of his arse, literally talking out of his arse. But this is what we come to expect from people like him. I mean, you can see the hill here. You can see, obviously, it's way higher than this shed that's out the back here. You can clearly see that it's there. Here's this guy landing his chopper. Yeah, just fantastic. So this is what I've just been saying now will be going into a video. It'll save me having to edit it later, and I can add all the other stuff in. Oh, who else have we got in? Right, let's see. Oh, Antonio. Oh, wow. I'm sure I've banned that troll before. Maybe he just makes up the same name every time. Jamie Brown, hello. Ninja Man, good day. How are you doing? Hi, Benjamin C. Maggie M, nice to see you in. JK, hello. Dan W, nice to see you in, buddy. Wow, some of these names are, yeah, you're right, they are horrible. But this is what we expect. This is what we have to put up with. This is what we get. You know, I might not agree with Antonio at all. However, having somebody make a name like that to attack both 2 people, both Antonio and Patricia Steer, you know, it's kind of like these 2 people are, well, in their own fields, respected flat earthers. And for whatever reason, this guy thinks by making a name like that, that he's actually going to sort of like bring them down or make them cry, or, you know, there's no point in it. I mean, I get names and all sorts, but it's just pathetic. So yeah, so going on further with this Miles Liar Davis. So he then says that obviously this clear brown area, this clear sandy coloured area that's here, with the chimney there and the chimney here, and this brown area that's in front of the water, this brown area isn't the hill. He says that can't be the hill because this is on top of the hill and I should be able to see the house. Well, I think I've showed you guys that quite clearly that is the most, he's either being very deceptive or he hasn't done his homework. Because I've mentioned that there's a sand dune around this building for months and have said it at least 50 or 60 times over and over and over, that we are seeing down to the floor. Essentially, we have this sand dune in the way that is about 30 foot in height, judging by the height of the house. So we know that there's a 60-foot portion above that. So we've got 60 foot or so. Hang on, 30 foot. Hang on, 70, 80 feet, 50 foot. So this 50-foot area here is the height of the lighthouse that we can see. The focal height is at 69 feet. The top of the chimney stacks, which are here, are approximately 30 feet above sea level. And we've got this sand dune that's in the way, which is a 9-meter sand dune or thereabouts, essentially nearly 30 feet. So when I say we are seeing floor to floor, we essentially are seeing floor to floor. Okay, you could argue that, oh, maybe I'm not seeing down to the bottom 5 feet or so, but you forget we're looking over waves here. You can see the difference in discrepancy between this wave height here and this wave height here. You know, over long distances, you could interpret that as 15 feet difference. Essentially, that might only be a 2-foot swell or a 1-foot swell. But judging by what we're looking at here, you could quite easily calculate a 15-foot drop there. One thing's for sure, though, we are seeing the chimney tops of that building and the house itself and the wall are hidden behind the sand dune, which I've said from day one is there. So clearly, obviously, he's desperate to try and increase his subscriber count, I should think, by trying to debunk the evidence that I've been doing for months. There's a reason why the ball earthers haven't challenged these observations. There's a reason for it. And the simple reason is it's unexplainable in their model, unless they are saying that they are seeing complete flatness for 18, 19, 20 miles, you know, so they have got to explain this looming. And I don't think they want to go there because it's repeatable and it has been for months. So I'm surprised that Miles Davis has decided to take me up on the challenge and try and disprove these observations because, you know, I do my research and I'm not one to just take it. Who else do we have? Let's see who else is in. Trouble About, hello. Yeah, by responding to them, it's like an advert to the channel. Indeed, yeah, but the thing is, and this is quite important to me, is that I've had people come into my channel and now saying that I have been debunked and the evidence has been debunked. If that narrative sticks and I don't address this immediately, then essentially all the work that I've done over the past 5 or 6 months doing these observations of Barrow is going to become muddied in ambiguity. Is it, isn't it? You know, Miles Davis apparently debunked him, which is utter horse manure, because, you know, we are never going to see that house, ever going to see that house in a million years, unless this seawall gets breached by the sea. You know, we're never going to see it because, look, there's a sea wall to the left. It's a sand dune that surrounds this entire building. Now, if I go back a little bit and I show you the actual layout of the property, we have this, as you can see, we've got this road that comes in along the side of it. And right down here is where the water comes up to at high tide. You can see where the remnants of it are all here. And as we lower the camera, you'll get to see just how low down this house actually is in relation to the height of the water. So as this camera's coming in, the height of the foundations of the building can only be 3 or 4 feet above maximum sea level height. Literally, that's about it. That's about the most you can give it. I'll just let him do his thing with his drone. And you forget, I mean, I've been to this area 3 or 4 times now. So I don't believe Miles has ever been there at all. But when you actually, because you can see that it's even raised up on this side here. All these tufts, they're higher than the actual foundations of the property. The property itself is dropped into like a hole. It's literally into essentially a hole surrounded by a protective wall on the outside. And obviously it's higher than the maximum tide height that would be for the area. It's still susceptible to flooding though. That is the case. It's still susceptible to flooding, but you can see how low down this is. It's actually way down low. An actual fact, when I'm just pausing it here and he has an altitude above sea level. So it's 1 feet above sea level right now. So actually, if you pay attention to the bottom right, he's got, well, you'll see it. I'll just take it so that red line goes away. You can see it dropping 28, 27, 22, 20, 18. 15, 14, 13, 12. This is height above sea level. Right, so there's 0, -3 feet, -5, -6 feet, -4 feet, -3. So he's below sea level here. And actually, when it's come to rest, it's actually at 0 feet. So obviously, I presume that's something to do with the actual camera just coming to rest. However, I don't want to really focus on that. It was just a neat point that I would show you. But this opens up a load of other reasons as to why I wanted him to address this. Where are we? Here we go. So here we have Google Earth, and here we have lines of sight. So I've got some lines of sight to different buildings and such. So when I come across here, and this is why it's important. This is why this drone footage is brilliant for the purposes of exposing these people for the lies that they tell. Here we have a direct line of sight to this St. James's Church. And here's another thing in the videos as well. He was giving me extra elevation height, and he was reducing the distances to the target. So I think he said it was about 13 miles to the lighthouse, when essentially it was much more than that. It was about another half a mile or 3/4 of a mile further than that. He was knocking nearly a mile off the distance to Barrow-in-Furness Town Hall and all this kind of stuff. Just little tricks, you know, knocking a mile off here and giving a few extra feet here, then adding a bit of refraction there, and essentially you can try and bullshit his way into it being some kind of ball earth proof. But here's the point. So there we have the drone coming down, and there's where that guy was sat. There's the house. This is the line of sight for this wall that was going along here. And in the drone footage, you can clearly see, which I've seen too, because I've had to climb over these drones at these sand dunes. So along this line of sight, say from here to there, is this, you know, sand dune, and it goes all the way to the other end. It literally stretches to over here. It goes all the way across there, right up, all the way. This sand dune, it's like a sea wall. It's its own sea wall. So when we know that we've got a sea wall here across my line of sight to the buildings of Barrow, right? So Barrow Town Hall, Devonshire Dock Hall, this is the line of sight to these. And we've got this sea wall that's in the way that's much, much closer. You know, it's 13 miles away as opposed to 18 or 19 miles away to the buildings here. Well, what do you think that sea wall is going to do? What do you think this sea wall is going to stop me seeing? Is it going to stop me see the bottom of those buildings? Do you think that's what it would do? See, I think it would, you see. Have I ever convinced any globe birthers? No, not really. No, I don't think so. Who else have we got in? Let's see. Well, to be fair, I mean, Ninja Man, have any ballers responded to this new evidence? Well, no, because I think they either know that this is the case because of my constant saying that there's a sea wall blocking my line of sight directly to the bottom of the lighthouse and the bottom of the buildings of Barrow. However, and that's why they haven't wanted to address the evidence, but Miles Davis is a bit cuckoo, I think, and thinks that he can do things that other ballers wouldn't want to touch for the past few months. They haven't wanted to go near this sort of stuff. And I'm going to show you a little bit of workings out now. Who's messaged me? I hate it when they do that. Right, so let's get some calculations up. I've got my ruler. Which one? Where are we at? Right, okay. So this is my direct line of sight to the buildings of Barrow. And where shall I start, actually? Let's go back a couple. No. Let's start on this one. So obviously that's a screen cap, and that's a screen cap there of the video that we're talking about. And as I've always stated, these buildings shouldn't be seen on the Ball Earth model. That's it. It's game over there. And then the fact we are seeing them is moot in some respect, because we shouldn't have to do this analysis. The fact that we see them proves that it's not a ball and what they're telling us. The fact I see it repeatedly proves that water isn't curving to the gravitational pull of the Earth, which proves that it's flat water. Flat water you can't have on a Ball Earth. That's it. But we're seeing these buildings, right, every day. Right, go down, see them. Anyway, this is a scale model of Devonshire Dock Hall. There's some interesting parts that you can pick out. We have this part of the building here, which is obviously half or so of this part of the building, this black area. And we've got another part of the black area here, which is this part. Obviously, we've got the design of the building. And then we've got the jaggedy roofs that are in front on a different building. They're on the street in Barrow, and they obviously stand out. Obviously, we have this building here. I've got it all on Google Earth. I wonder if I can. Oh no, I got rid of it. Never mind. So, sea wall. Let's go to 0.3. We need to get some measurements here, right? We need to get some measurements. How much are we actually seeing? And where does compression start? Where does compression stop? This is what we need to try and figure out. This is the fake waves that we go into. We go into things like fake waves. You've heard me talk about them before, where the sky is miraged and the you know, over the water, and it's also blocking out in the distance. So anything that we do see is a bonus. What we don't see, we can obviously infer from different observations and put things together. Now, this 18.7 mile observation was never really one of my favorite videos. It was something that I'd done a while ago and decided just to release it for the sake of putting some content out. So the fact that he decided to pick on that, I'm not too fussed, because you shouldn't see these buildings anyway. What I've figured out is that when we put the height of Devonshire Dock Hall, which is 167 feet, we're seeing down to about 70 feet. But essentially, we have a seawall in the front of that, and we also have the air that's in the front of this. Now, coupled with the fact that it should, let me do the curve calcs on this actually. I haven't done this curve calcs for a while. Let me do the curvy calcs. Curvature calc. Here we go. Right, so it's 18.7 miles. Can you believe that? 18.7. Your height, 4 feet. Hidden, 167 feet. That is the curvy calcs. Now, the building itself is only 167 feet tall, right? And it's right on the water's edge. Now, I might have some videos and proof of that. Let's see if I can. Where are we? Here we go. Let's see if I can find you an image. Here we have. Oh, here we go. Here's a decent one. Now we know that these are the 4 meter. I've got calculations from the Liverpool and AC.UK, whatever, that this bridge at high tide only has a 4 meter clearance from the water. It's probably not the best image to show, actually, to be fair, but let's find another one. Where are we? Here's another one. Here's another image of Devonshire Dock Hall. You can see where it's essentially the bottom of the building would be where my cursor is there. You know, it's almost level with the water, just a few feet above it, and I can show that by searching for Devonshire Dock Hall, actually. So let's go to Devonshire Dock Hall. I don't need to do it by drone. Oh, actually, there's an image there that I can use. Let's look at this image. Look at that bad boy. Yeah, there's Devonshire Dock Hall. There's the water. No more than 10 feet or so at the most above the water. No more. Can't really see that image. Here's another angle of it. Yeah, it's just so obvious that these guys are talking out of their asses. Here's another one. There's the Devonshire Dock Hall. And what they have to explain is, where's the missing 100 and odd feet? You know, how come I'm seeing 18.7 miles? What's their explanation for this? And their explanation is to get people like Miles Delia Davis to go and put hit pieces out like this that clearly don't know what the fuck they're talking about. He gives me all kinds of different heights. He put, for instance, in this point here, right here, he is doing the lighthouse. He gives me a viewer feet in height of 14, right? When I've stated that I was 4 feet above sea level. So he's put my viewer height at 14, and he's given the distance as 13.5 miles, right? This is what he's done for the lighthouse. Now, this is what I'm saying about nicking bits of curvature here, and, you know, adding little bits here and taking things off there, giving me a higher viewer height. Of course, is going to play into their model. So is he in it for the truth, or is he in it for deception? This is what you got to ask. In my opinion, you know, if you're not putting the correct data in, or you're being, you know, you're not showing your whole details, you know, you can be classed as being a bit sly. That's why I try to always show exactly where I am, you know, and I'll make the point of doing it in the whole video. Sometimes it gets boring to people, but sometimes people just like that information. So when I put, let's measure the distance. Now he's given the distance to the lighthouse as 13.5, and he can't be, he can't not know this information, because the GPS was quoted in the description of the video. And also he had Google Earth open on his live stream. So for him to not know the distance by either not putting a line of sight in, and I know he can do it because he did it when he went to try and do some wind farms before. Right now he's given the distance of 13.5 miles to the lighthouse, which is there. That's 13.5 miles where he says. That's how far he says I am away from it. When we get to the actual distance of how far it actually is, and we scroll in, we're looking at 13.77, right? So it doesn't sound a lot, but when I'm saying he's nicking curve, this is what he does. He knocks 1/4 mile off, which essentially takes off about 4 or 5 feet. And when you're trying to evaluate the focal height of this building, which is obviously 69 feet to the actual the lighthouse light, and you're trying to get down to the size of the house, which is at 30 feet. So he's got to try and say, where's this 40 feet or whatever. So if he's nicking 1/4 mile, he's already saving himself 4 or 5 feet there. This is all deception to try and steal curve in a way. It is absolutely designed to steal curve, to say that it's dishonest, because he had all this data open. He could have run this line of sight in himself and found this information out himself and put the correct details in, but he didn't. And this is what he does. This is typical of Miles. It's typical of the ballers who will probably go home and have a good wank over this because they'll think they've been able to debunk Ranty. And let me just do another line of sight too, because he does another measurement in a bit. I'll try and find that where he talks about the Town Hall of Barrow. So I'll just get that to the Town Hall of Barrow. Where are we? Here we are. So here's the Town Hall of Barrow just coming up to now. So here it is with the clock on. So if I put this in there, it says 18.57 miles. Yeah, that's the distance that I've just measured out, 18.57. So I'll just save that. And then I'll try and find it in his video. where he gives a distance to that too. So just bear with me. When he brings his curve calcs up again. Here we go. Here we go. So in this particular case, he's done a distance in miles of 18, right? With a viewer height of 10 feet, right? So again, he's not accepted my 4 feet above sea level. And he's given me a lesser distance yet again. He's gone from the correct calculation, which is 18.57 miles, to a distance of 18. Now, let me show you what that does on the curve calcs. Let's just go to the curve calcs again. And if I put in the details that he's done, so he's done 18 miles with an elevation of 10 feet, right? So the hidden in his 18 mile is 133, right? Let's put in 18.57, which is the correct distance. So from 133, this is how much he has saved. The hidden is 144, which is the correct distance. The correct distance is 18.57. So by knocking off 0.57 of a mile at that distance, he's gained 11 feet, or essentially found 11 feet of curvature by simply putting in the wrong details. That's what he's done. He's also given a viewer height, which is far higher than the height above sea level, which I actually gave. You know, take that down, instead of being at 10 feet to an elevation of 4 feet, and we'll see the hidden has changed from 144 to 173. So my calculations are 173, and his calculations, when he does it down to 18 miles and an elevation of 10, is 133. So he's knocked off 40 feet of curve by fudging the calculations, right? Now, I'm not particularly interested in the viewer height, to be honest. That isn't the case. What pisses me off is that he has the GPS details that he can work from. He has Google Earth, and he can put the correct distances in because he knows where these buildings are, right? But he refuses to do that. This is the dishonesty. Who else do we have in? Let's see. Sean G, hello. Andres, how come you're not modded up, mate? Who else do we have in? Jazzaconda, let's have a chat. Can we start with the basic stuff? No. FPV Angel, hi, nice to see you in. Who else do we have in? Let's see. Anita, hiya, nice to see you in. Buttermilk, yeah. You're a troll, I think. Can't recall yet. We'll see how you get on. Wobbly Boost, hello. Hiya, Ian. Oh, guys, by the way, listen. Good news. The P1000 will be in my grubby little hands on Monday. I have been confirmed that that is the date that I will be getting the P1000. Unfortunately, the weather's going to be absolutely shit. So I'll be getting like 80-mile-an-hour winds or something. So I don't think we'll be doing much in filming with that. However, it might give me an option during the week to modify the P900. So I'll probably do that live as well. No pressure. Opening it up and trying to take out the lenses in it. Right. So yes, back to Miles Davis. Yes. Yeah. So lastly, he goes on to do this. Where are we? So well, hang on. Let's just go to the footage of it. Right. So here we have my image. Obviously, there's Devonshire, Desborough Town Hall, and there's the St. James's Church in the distance. Right. You can see the damn sand dune in the foreground. Right. You can literally see it in the foreground. And he says, I don't see any sand dune in the way. I don't see any sand dune in the way, he says. in his little posh little voice. And obviously, you know, we have blockage that isn't curve of the earth, you know. Anyway, he goes on to then go over across to these buildings over here, which is part of the video, and he's looking at these here, and he says, I haven't had time to analyze these, so I can't really say, so blah, 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 flapping his gums like he does. Well, like I say, I can help him with that. I can help him with that because I've already scaled it for him. I've already scaled it for him. And he claims that it was at low tide. Debatable. Very debatable. We'll get onto that. So yeah, so I've done some scaling for him. So again, this is another thing. This is another thing. He does this in his video on a different part. So essentially, I've taken the height of the roof down to the bottom of this white part here. So the height of the roof there to this part here. And I've scaled it in this part here. So once I've got the scale on the top correct, and I've put 4 and a portion in, and this is just to validate the work that I've been doing, getting it down to roughly 70 feet. Again, it is the same. So when I've rescaled it to the bottom and I've put these 4 sames in and we got down to here, we're talking roughly in the same ballpark, 70, between 70 and 80 feet we are seeing down to at least. Now that's not taking into account the fake waves, because let's look over here. And this is interesting because you can see, obviously we can see some of the building down here, right, through the fake waves that I'm always pointing out to you guys. Over here, you can clearly see that there's a large drop here. Okay, and when you take this into account over a distance of 18 and a half, 19 miles away, you know, this little portion here could be the equivalent of as much as 20 feet in drop. You know, this is the sort of distance, these little cresting waves where you see the crest of the wave and then it goes, and you see a little bit of the building and then it goes, you know, over these vast distances. You know, this is equivalent to around about 20 feet. And this is the work that I'm figuring out. So, I mean, you could put my cursor down where we're actually definitely seeing. And this is just one screenshot. It's not a definitive screenshot. There could be many other screenshots I could have taken in the video that might have dropped it even further. The point, and the simple point, is that none of these buildings should be seen. That's it. That's just the total and utter facts of it. These buildings should not be seen. It doesn't matter whether it's low tide or high tide. I see them all the time. The lighthouse, it's a killer. Here's these jaggedy buildings. Oh, and there's that building. Here we go. This is one I wanted to show you. This is this building, right? Can you see it with the grey and the front part of it? And you can clearly see that this is the jaggedy building in the foreground, these roofs on the other side. So you've got these jaggedy roofs on the foreground. So we're looking at it from right to left, essentially. And then we're looking at this building to the left. So that's what we're looking at. And none of this should be seen. This shouldn't be visible. But if we go back to the evidence, and then we're looking, here we go. So you can now see the jaggedy buildings in the foreground, which are here. And then obviously there's that building. You can see the roof of it, the design of it. You definitely see it's the same building. It's like a dark blue with a light blue in it. Yeah. Definitely the same building. And here it is. There's the rim of it. There's the main portion of it. And these roofs, these jaggedy roofs, are in the foreground. And these jaggedy roofs are only 80 feet high. Go figure. They're only 80 feet high, these. But we're seeing them in the evidence. 100 and odd feet should be missing, 160 feet or so. But clearly these are the jaggedy roofs here that we're seeing down to 80 feet. Now, I know my scaling, working off this scale model, maybe the scale model isn't correct, who knows. One thing I can be sure of is that this building is definitely seen. The jaggedy roofs are definitely seen. Devonshire Dock Hall is definitely seen, and none of them should be seen. And here we have the proof. Here's the height. You can see the cars to the left. This is essentially 80 feet. And above that, we've got this warehouse, I would imagine it is, or something like that. That's probably about 120 feet tall. So which is why we're seeing the top of it. So Miles, yeah, by all means, mate, fire away, but put the correct data in. Correct data. I'll tell you what, if you want to go there with the observations above sea level, why don't you just go down to my 1 foot observations, or my 1 inch observations, or my 22 mile observations? You know, I mean, there's plenty of observations that I can corroborate all this work from, not just one, not just one. So yeah, by all means, you know, I told you was going to get your ass kicked. I did tell you was going to get your ass kicked. Who else do we have in? Let's see. Anybody else come in? Aircraft cannot fly around a ball. Which would notice after flying. Oi, oi. 51 watching, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. Anyone that I haven't wrenched up, if they want to speak in chat and they think they need a wrench, let me know. I'll get you wrenched up. So yeah, like I say, there is a reason, Miles Davis, that nobody has tackled these observations of mine, and that's because they can't prove them. If you ask somebody like Timmy Osman, he can't explain them. He's acknowledged that he can't explain them. You know, it's unexplainable. There's a reason why Sly Sparkane won't touch it. Red's Rhetoric, you know, it just won't address it, and it's fine. You know, it's all right for them to have this niggling doubt in the back of their head as to why we are seeing these, you know, why we're seeing them. And if they can't answer that, then that's obviously going to, in some ways, it might play on their minds in the future. You know, they might think to themselves, well, you know what? It's flat where Ranty lives, right? And as soon as you start getting to that point when you realize that it's flat water where I live, it is flat water. There's no denying it. I've filmed it many and many and many a time. Got plenty of still images, floor to floor, 18-mile distance from a foot in observation. Once you understand that it's flat water where I live, then you understand that the ball earth model essentially is broken because water has to curve. You can't have flat water on the ball earth model. And this is why I do the repeated observations. People say to me, well, how many times do you need to go down and film this stuff? Well, if I go down and film it 100 times a year, then that's repeatable, that's verifiable, and that's data that we can use to say, okay, where I live, we have flat water. Ninja, yeah, well, I don't know, where do you live, Ninja? Where do you live? I don't know where you live, mate. So if I've never been to your place, probably I've never filmed it. All I know is that where I live, in this little part of my world, over here, this area called the Irish Sea, all I know is that every time that I've gone and filmed in this location, I have seen far further than I should be able to on a ball earth model, right? Here's the wind turbines that I've mapped all out individually, so they're in the exact GPS location. I mean, the amount of stuff that I've filmed, the mountains of Wales, obviously, yes, you should see some of them. Do we get to see them all the time? No. I mean, probably once every 2 weeks when the weather conditions are good enough for you to see that 60 or 70 miles. But what we do see is other mountain ranges in this area that we shouldn't see. So I can be filming from Blackpool and I can be filming over to the Welsh mountains over here. And yeah, obviously you're going to see the biggest, tallest, fattest mountains, but the smaller mountains, you shouldn't see them on the ball earth model, right? That's a fact. When I've been to Hoylake and seen Blackpool Tower and essentially seen, as far as I'm concerned, 2/3 or more of Blackpool Tower, then that doesn't conform to their ball earth model. When I've been to Hoylake and I've filmed over and looking at the lighthouse on the corner of Great Orme down here, and I've calculated that I'm seeing down to about 50 feet, right, over a distance of 29 miles. That doesn't conform, and it is looking across water, bodies of water. Again, this Irish Sea. Where I live, it's flat. The water where I live is flat. Now, that doesn't work on the ball model. Just doesn't. You can't have flat water. So it really is that simple. The more I go out and the more I film this stuff. And here's another one. When I went to Great Orme, this is what I wanted to go back and do, because I was on, where are we? Here, Great Orme. So you got this toll road that you have to pay to go on this road. So you pay for it down here, I think, in the corner, and you wind your way around it. You go up, and you get over to the lighthouse, which is over here, and it's got this cafe just above it. So where my cursor is now, there's the cafe. And essentially, I was here. This is where I was. I was down here, right about here. I hopped over this wall, and I was looking to try and get around here to see the Isle of Man. And because I was sure I was seeing the Isle of Man, right? Honestly, I was like, I can see the Isle of Man. I know I can see it. Come on. And I'm thinking, I'm sure I'm seeing the Isle of Man. I'm sure I'm seeing the Isle of Man. And eventually I got it, right? And it was really, really tricky to get this observation. Trust me, I don't know what it was, but it was just the light, because it was all blended into the same sort of contrast. So if it was a scale of 1 to 10, sort of like 5, everything seemed 5. The color, the camera wouldn't focus. It was so difficult to get anything to focus. But I did get a video of it, only very brief, probably about 20 seconds long. I put it on my channel, and you can clearly make out that you're seeing all these mountains from there all the way across, right up to there, 70 miles away, right? Well, you see them all, right? And my elevation, because I was level with the hub heights of the wind turbines, I was able to, within a very, very small margin of error, calculate 322 feet above sea level, because the hub heights were 322 feet and above the water, and I was level with the hub heights. They were all consistently level with my eye height, so that was how I got my elevation above sea level. And I was able to say, right, okay, well, how can I see all of the Isle of Man down to within 200 feet or so of the bottom, when 1,400 feet of it should be missing, right? Literally, that's how much should have been missing. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense on the ball model. But I was hoping to go and redo this observation, but firstly, the weather's been crap anyway, so I wouldn't have been able to do it. But when I've got the modified P900 and the P1000, which is arriving on Monday, there's absolutely no chance of me not going over the next month or so and trying to repeat this observation, because if I can get that in the infrared, I mean, it really is game over. That really is game over. I mean, I might be able to find the video. Let's see if I can. I've had enough of Miles Davis now for now, because he's just debunked. So I'm just going to have a look at my channel and try and find out the observation from the Isle of Man, or seeing the Isle of Man. Let's see if I can find that. I got a load of crap on here, haven't I? Let's be honest. Can't remember how long ago I went. Oh, hang on. There we go. Isle of Man. Here we go. The Isle of Man is seen from North Wales, and it was. I mean, I'll try and pause it, or maybe it'll be at the end of the video. Let me see. This is the. Yeah, there we go. Oh, just paused it. You can watch this through the video, but this is the landmass that I captured. You can clearly make out. I mean, I've done it on Peak Finder as well. Curve calc say hidden 1,449 feet, 1,450 feet should have been missing. Yeah. Well, we've got things like over in the far left, we've got this Greba Mountain, 1,385 feet. Well, look at how much we're seeing. It's the full length of the cursor, right? And when I put the cursor to Snaefell, we've only got probably what I would say 2 cursors high, right? So when you're working out this by calculating stuff, and obviously I do it in a minute, I think I get the ruler in a minute, I'm able to take a few of the mountains and say, okay, right, well, I can see this range here, and I've got this range here. And when we put it and scale it into the ruler, I get it down to 220 feet obscured. Literally, I'm able to measure it and calculate that out. Now, though it doesn't look great because the imagery was so difficult to capture and bring it out, but I knew what I was seeing. I filmed it. It's in the video. And where's the 1,500, near 1,500 feet of obscured? I mean, I'm calculating, really calculating down to the hard horizon here, down to 220 feet. You know, this is undeniable proof. And look, it's absolutely undeniable that this is the entirety of the Isle of Man. And get that P9, modified P900, I tell you, it really will be a game over. I mean, look, you can see it as I zoom in. Look, here we go. There we go. Look at it. Look at it. Brilliant. I don't know what it's coming through for you guys on the 720 Hangout, but this is uploaded in 1080. So it's in 1080. So if you've got a 1080 monitor, I would advise you to go and look at that, because you also see the southern part of the Isle of Man down here, as well as a zoom in. But yeah, imagine how good it's going to be, how clear I can make that with the infrared. I mean, these ballers are going to be crying their eyes out soon. Hello, Nathan. Who else do we have in? Don't you have to take into account perspective, because if Greba Mountain is a bit closer, it will appear a bit higher? Yeah, you do. In short, how to build a cloud. 30 minutes, 30. Can you play my chemtrail video? But I can, but it doesn't have any sound. So if that's all right, I mean, I can play it, but it doesn't have any sound. Let's open that in a new tab. Let's just see. Oh, 27. Hang on. Let's see if I can hear it. So you've just done this, right? There's no sound on it, so that's all right. All right, let me go to the start then. Yeah, that looks like chem fog up there, mate. Not the heaviest spraying I've seen, not at all, but you can tell what the real clouds are. All that fine misty stuff at the top, that's just the remnants of the chemtrails. The fluffy, nice clouds, they're real clouds. And you know, they made a new classifications of clouds recently, where it might have been in the last couple of years or so, where they introduced 30 new types of clouds. Seriously, because up until now, we hadn't realized that there could be different types of clouds that needed a special name for each one. What a load of crap! They invented them to hide the fact that it's the chemtrails that's causing them. Yeah, that's all chemtrails. Yeah. Nathan, you're finally waking up to chemtrails. What's happened? I didn't think you'd ever get around to that. It was chemtrails that started me on this course. It was my first channel, wasn't it? Chemtrails. So anyway, Nathan, you might not have seen that, but you know Miles Davis. I'll just run it through really quickly for you. You know Miles Davis. He's been back on the scene recently. He did a video about me yesterday, and somebody mentioned it in your chat, and I was like, "Oh, please!" I really hope it's something to do with my observations over here, and luckily it was. And he states categorically that this lighthouse here, with its house and the wall, everything should be visible, because if you go to Google Earth, get this, Nate, he hovers over Google Earth here, and he goes, you look at the elevations down in the bottom, it's got 9 meters, 9, 9, 9, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So he states that this is clearly on the top of the hill. It's the highest part in the area. It has a house attached to it. And how come we're only seeing the chimney part of it? Yeah. But we know the problems we've had with Google Earth and getting the correct elevations. And luckily, with this guy here that put this video out, which, to be fair, was absolutely sensational. When I saw it yesterday, it was just what I needed, actually. As we lower well, obviously you can see the lighthouse and the house and what have you, but pay attention. This is my line of sight here, and look at this hut. Right, there's a little hut there as well, and there's the sea. I've lined it up where I'm looking in the right direction on Google Earth, so everything's lined up perfectly. This is my line of sight over here. And pay attention to this tractor, this trailer thing here as well. And as he comes down, as he lowers himself down, you can see this is in a ditch. Right, it's in a ditch. But look at this. Look at there's where the sand dune rises up now. When I pause it, look, sand dune perfectly on the straight horizon. Now everyone knows that the horizon is level. So we've got a level horizon for the house, the top of the house, right? And I've got a level horizon for the top of the sand dune, which proves that the sand dune essentially is the same height as the house. And the only thing we should see is the chimney stacks. And when we go a bit lower, what you can see, I mean, look at this. You can definitely see there's this little hut thing. And behind it, you can see the wall, you know, and it gets even more prominent as he lowers as he's drawn down. You can now see that, yeah, you can definitely see the wall of sand, this sand dune that I've said in every time that I've filmed this lighthouse. It's surrounded by a sand dune, and you won't see the house. And Miles Davis calls me a liar and says that I am lying and I should be able to see this house and I should be able to see this sea wall and yada, 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 yada. Well, guess what, Miles? Guess what? You're talking out of your arse. And conveniently, now that he's finally woken up to the fact that there is this massive sand dune that runs around at 13 miles away or thereabouts, we now know that that is an obstruction to the line of sight to the buildings of Barrow, including Devonshire Dock Hall, St. James's Church, all that kind of stuff, right? And that this 30-foot wall, essentially, I would say 30 feet, this house is approximately 30 feet in height to the roof. So this wall of sand dune that goes around it is essentially 30 feet high too. So this 30-foot high wall that is in my direct line of sight to those buildings will become an incrementally higher wall by the time I get to 18.7 miles away. Yeah. So it's going to block out 45 feet roughly or thereabouts of the bottoms of things like Devonshire Dock Hall and all that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that he did this, and I'm glad that I had the evidence to back up the work that I've been doing. Forget the fact that we shouldn't see this lighthouse anyway. I mean, it shouldn't really be there. But he lied so much in his video. It was unbelievable. Yeah, using Google Earth. Yeah, and you know what? You know the elevations stuff when he hovers over it and he's going, you can't trust elevations. Well, there's the solid proof that you can't trust elevations, because it is in a ditch. It is in a ditch. It is surrounded by a seawall, which is the sand dune that goes around it. Proper evidence that this is, you know, obscured from my line of sight. Even if I was on Blackpool Tower, I probably wouldn't be able to see it. Who knows? Well, yeah. So for him to make out these wild claims, and then he goes on about the buildings of Barrow, etc. And I'm just like, man, you know, I was hoping that someone would try and do a debunking video. I really was. Oh, do you know? You remember this building, Nath? You've seen it many a time, probably in the imagery that I've done. Can you see? And obviously, these are the jaggedy roofs to the right hand. So I'd be looking over the jaggedy roofs, and then behind it would be this building on the left, where you can clearly make out the design of it. It's pretty obvious what it is, but you can judge by this that the height of these jaggedy roofs are about 80 foot high. So when we're seeing the jaggedy roofs 80 foot high, we've got some kind of gauge to work through. Does anyone know what flat water means? If it's flat water where I live, what does that mean? Does anyone realize the impact this will have on the Ball Earth model, having flat water? Yeah, because you can't have flat water on the ball. All water must conform to the curvature of the Earth. Flat water can't exist in their model. So, right, oh, right, hang on. So, how to build a cloud in 30 seconds, I see. So, you're watching them seed it. I see what you've done. You've watched them seed it, and I see it's just starting to appear. Get you. I was wondering what you were showing me before, and now I understand. Yeah, it's called cloud seeding, Nathan. Yep. Fake clouds. Ace. I think I might just show this one last time for the benefit of Miles Davis, because he asked me specifically, along with all these trolls. Actually, let me find these trolls. This should be Miles Davis Flat Earth. Let me find all these troll comments, because some of these are fun. Right. Let's have a look. Some of these troll comments are fun. He is simply using the Crown Prince of Nigeria tactics. Blatantly lie through your teeth and hope to catch a few suckers. Well, I hope he's responding to Miles Davis here, but I don't think so. I think he's actually talking about me. A well-tried and tested method of scamming people, with a love heart off Miles Davis. I predict his response will be compression due to perspective and Aries diffraction. Incorrect practical example, and you troll quite a lot in Nathan, so this one's for you, bud. This is good work showing flat Earth is wrong. Ranty doesn't think for a moment Earth is flat, do I not? I've just spent what? Rock Lover, I've just spent what? The last 16 months of my life doing this for what? For what reason? Let's see. Very nice, Miles, as always. It's amazing that Ranty just keeps on with this evidence, blah, 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 flapping the gum, flapping the gum, flapping the gum. Oh, Ola H, another troll. Ranty, the king of proving the globe. It's always the same guys, isn't it, responding? It's always the same ones. Right, Ranty's job is to make Lily and Jokley look smart. Really? Well, do you want me to see how smart your guy is? Your guy that says that this lighthouse and house is situated on top of a 9-meter hill, the largest in the area, and it doesn't have a sand dune going around it, which I've said from the very first time I observed this lighthouse. The very first time I stated categorically, and I have done 50, 60, 70 times, that it has a seawall going around it called a sand dune. And well, what do you know? What do you know, people? It has a 9-meter or so sand dune blocking my line of sight to the house. Oh, I'm gonna gorge on this for weeks. Hey, does anybody want to see? Let's see, where are we? Right, so I'm gonna get off miles. I'm gonna look at my. Does anyone want to see how many comments I had on my Mandan video? Right, this should be interesting. Do you want to see the vulgarity that I get? Let's have a look. Let's see if I can. It was Is Simon Dan. Here we go. Buying his subscribers. Now then, I've had, get this, 14,000 views, right? I've had 60 likes, because I think when I first did it, I had in the region of 55 or so, with around about 3 dislikes. I think that was the ratio. It was like 55 versus 3. So Simon Dan clapped his hands, snapped his fingers, you know, and he said, subscribers, head on over to Ranty Flat Earth and tell him that you're a real sub. Go now, be a good sheep, head over there, do it, go and tell him that I'm not buying my subs, tell him that I'm a real person, right? So, since he did that, I now have 4,698 comments, right? So, when it says 9+, which is my notifications here, it's, you know, it's essentially all the time. So when I do to the top comments, oh, hang on, newest first, that'll be better, newest first. Right, newest first, right, so 33 minutes ago. Hi, Flatard, I subscribed to Simon Dan. Real guy here, 1 hour ago. I'm real, you turd gargling fuckwit. Very nice. Very nice. I like this. Why are you people so dumb? Do you know what staggers me, actually, is the vitriol that some random person can have to another random account because somebody clicks their fingers and says, go over and just tell them that I'm a real person. And immediately, for whatever reason, they become incredibly empowered by the keyboard to tap away and call me all these kind of names and think that it's, I don't know, all empowering for them, I suppose. I'm real, just like the earth is round. Blah, 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 blah. Knobhead. Wow. That was nice. Knobhead. Right, okay. Right, I just stopped by from Simon Dan to laugh at some flat brain logic. Well, clearly you didn't watch any video of it then. You just came in to troll, because the next thing is it's not nice to make fun of those with special needs. Okay, so now I'm a special need person, right? Okay, so I'm a knobhead special need. What else is that called? OMFG loser. Right, okay, so now I'm a loser as well. Plenty of trolling going on here. What else do we have? You're such a little crying ass baby girl. Get a life, fuckwit. Wow. Okay. This is ace. But the thing is, I don't really read any of these because there's that many coming through. I literally spend all day responding to them. I'm a Simon subscriber. Try not to get butt hurt. What else do we have? Oh, I get lots of please don't reproduce. I've seen that a fair few times. Please don't reproduce, etc., etc., etc. What else do we have? I'm an idiot. Why? Because I was doing a live stream showing his subscriber count going up 3 or 4 every minute. That makes me, what, an idiot for reporting that substantial growth in his channel, which is essentially unheard of. He's now larger than Red's Rhetoric, Greater Sapien, Slice Barcane, Sean Hufford, all combined. Literally guys that have been on this scene for years, and this guy out of nowhere in the period of a couple of months has surpassed all of that, and his content is shit. So for me reporting on that and asking the question, I get the trolls. Now it just makes you wonder what sort of people are subscribing to his channel by the responses that you get. I'm real and you're an idiot. Okay. No one paid me to sub to Simon Dan with a middle finger. Right, okay. This dumbass. Blah, 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 blah. Yep. But hurt bot here. Blah, blah, blah. I'm real, bitch. Fuck you in capital letters. Wow. Okay, that's what? Well, that's kind of aggressive, that one, wouldn't you think? Please do not reproduce. There's another one. So yeah, I mean, he's getting all the quality subscribers over at his channel, guys that can clearly troll very good. And I suppose that's what YouTube, if that's the analytics that have given him this kind of platform to get subs from, because apparently a lot of his channel videos have popped up in people's recommended lists. So clearly they are taking, or they're being pushed on people that are more likely to respond in this way. Gamers, I would suggest. I subscribed. You are truly pathetic. Right, okay. Well, anyway, that's just a quick rundown of the stuff, which I'm not complaining about, to be fair, because you know we have 4,698 comments of 14,000 views, which is great, because if they all watched it, and it's a 21-minute video, which I doubt they would watch it all, but I need 4,000 hours so I can monetize my channel and get paid off YouTube for putting content out. Happy days. So the more people that watch this stuff, well done. Keep coming over and keep watching my stuff. That's all I can say. Right, I don't think he bought loads of subs. I just think he's been bumped up in the search and recommendations. Yeah, I do. I mean, I was watching the growth live. It was astronomical, literally astronomical. I didn't, I mean, I've never seen any growth like that on any channel before, but to be actually doing it live, which, you know, it's worth reporting on. It seems that with all the comments that you've got back, maybe they are real subs, who knows? But they're not quality subs. They're not really people that are really interested. They're just brain dead sheep that are being driven to his channel to basically become his little foot soldiers to attack flat earthers from, and that's what they want. Little foot soldiers. Right, individual one. What a waste of time. What's a waste of time? Let me go to your channel. What is a waste of time? 32 subscribers without any content. No idea. Some kind of content. Flat Earth clueless stooges. Flat Earth we fight. Flat Earth discussion. Right. I actually think that you're a troll. That's what I think. Individual one. Anyone else agree? Yeah, I should tell them to subscribe to my channel. You're right. But why would I want his trolls? To be fair, seriously, why the hell would I want his trolls? I would rather have one enlightened person subscribe to my channel than 100 trolls that are just closed-minded sheep. Not for me. I would rather be interacting with people that, you know, can be open-minded to stuff and see the evidence and analyze it without having the to default back to science and the way that they've been told from birth to the age that they are when they first start looking at this stuff. You know, you need to forget everything that you've learned, unlearn everything, and start from scratch. That's what you need. Leeds rules. What's this? Just released new video on Simon What, you've just released a video on Simon Leeds rules? Is that right? Let me just open it in a new tab. Simon demolished the flat Earth in a single month. Find out now. Okay, I'll watch that in a bit. Sure, it'll be quite interesting. TV programmed, yes, it is. And to be fair, if you think of things like, which I only found out recently, The Matrix, for instance, the fact that Neo's passport had an expiry date of 9/11/2001. Can you actually believe that? 9/11/2001 in a film about the Matrix. It's like, was that being programmed in some way? Were we being led down a path? Was it subliminal messages? You know, the fact that you could fold over some of the notes and you could see the sky, well, the Twin Towers falling, etc. You know, and there was so many things with that 9/11. The Mandela effect. Oh, yeah. And I was watching a film. What the hell was it called? Battle Los Angeles, was it? I think it was called Battle Los Angeles. I watched that last night. And it's where they have these Marines in the US Army, and they're called to defend America from attack because it's being invaded by aliens, right? And it's not just the aliens in the US; it's aliens in big cities throughout the entire world, where they're fighting forces that are far superior to them, and yet they prevail in the end. A bit like Independence Day. It's along the same premise of that, if not almost identical. They take out the command center. The command center then makes it so that the rest of the ships and people or whatever are vulnerable, and that's how they win. So it's the same. It's almost a word for word of the Independence Day in effect. Makes you wonder, because I've heard rumors that they're thinking of doing something like that. This fake invasion. You know, that there's been talk about, well, how would they create a one world order, you know, literally one world government? And that could be if they faked an invasion. Is that possible? Who knows? You know, I mean, do they have the technology to do that? Possibly. They had the technology to fool the majority of people from 9/11 back in 2001. And what's even worse is that now that people are all aware that 9/11 was a hoax, not a hoax, but an inside job, and was not done by those terrorists, nobody's raising an eyelid. The narrative is being set. It's you're watching a narrative being played out and written into the history books, and that you know that in 50 years' time, your grandchildren or whatever will be being taught about 9/11 as being an attack on the Americans by people in a cave, right? This is what the narrative will be, and this is how history will be being taught to them in 50 years. And in 100 years' time, you know, this will be in all the history books. This is what people will know. And yet the people that are living it now, with the, obviously we were in the start of the internet back then, essentially. We know, this generation knows, most generations know right now, but in a couple of generations' time, that narrative will become the history, and it'll be false history, even though we know that it was done by it was an inside job, but history will, in 50 or 60 years' time, it will be a narrative that it was done by those people in the caves. And it's because the mainstream media and whoever's behind the books, whoever's behind the film industry, every single thing, nobody, apart from on the internet like YouTube and stuff, nobody is going to be credible enough to write it down as this is what actually happened. And makes you wonder what else they've hidden in the past. You think about it. If you have any of you guys watched any of Martin Leakey's stuff, and the Tartarians and things like this, it seems that they were real. I mean, they had sigils and everything, flags. They had 2 flags, one for an emperor and one for like a government. So I mean, come on, and we never even hear these. Right, Rancy, we get your point. For fuck's sake, move on. Right, who is this guy? Who is Nathan needs to apologize? Who is it? Right, take 300. I don't need you telling me what to do. It's my channel. I'll speak how I want. If I want to talk about stuff, I will. If you don't like it, fuck off somewhere else. You don't have to be here. You don't have to tell me what to say on my fucking channel. If I want to talk about other stuff, I'll talk about other stuff. Star Force, I'll talk about them. If I want to talk about anything, I will do. And tell me what to do. And if you come back here and you start again, I'll just ban you. So yeah, the Tartarians, a full, essentially, a group of people or an empire that we haven't heard about. That we haven't heard about, and it's only through alt media and people like myself, but obviously not me because I'm not looking into that, but other reporters as such, looking into this kind of stuff and digging this information out in the history books, in history books that are not mainstream history books, but in old maps and things like this. We're finding out about this stuff. And yeah, I'll mention the Star Forts again. It's about castles. We've all heard of castles. We've all seen films with castles in many times. We've been taught about castles, the history of castles. Kings lived in here and kings lived in there. But what about the Star Forts? They're far more impressive than castles. Far more impressive. Bigger, older, right? More prevalent, not just in the British Empire, but all over. Literally all over, and we don't get taught about them. Can anybody here say that they were taught about Star Forts at school? Or can anybody here know that they heard the mention of castles? But did you ever get heard of Star Forts? I never did. I mean, when I first heard Martin talking about these Star Forts, and I was like, it went in one ear and out the other. I wasn't even paying attention much, to be fair. And it's only when you look and let me look at these things. Look at these things, right? Right, Star Forts. Star Forts. Images. Look at these things. Come on. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the design of it. With the moat going around it and everything. And just look at that. What? It's more impressive than a castle. Far more impressive. Here's another one. Look at this. Look at the walls on it. Look at the shape of it. Look at the design. This is an architectural masterpiece. We get thrown the pyramids, for instance, about them being a marvel of architecture, right? But these star forts are older than castles, etc. The more intricately designed. They're a beautiful piece of architecture. The places that they're situated in is ideal for trading. You know, you can see that these places were the center of trade. You know, they're on the peninsulas of different oceans and trade routes and everything. You can see in the old maps exactly where they were situated. You know, they were a very, very important part of our history. You know, where probably a lot of trading was done, a lot of people lived. You know, and we never taught any of this. Look at him, just sensational. Look at this one. Look at this star fort. Got houses in the middle of it. Look again. It's on the coast, like a port. You know, it's like a trading center. You know, it's clear that these things are obviously a very, very important part of our history, but we're not told about them. And it seems that Tartaria or whatever, again, that's another narrative that's been erased from our history. Not only these star forts that never get told us, but let's have a look at some more of these. So not only do we get things like this that are being hidden from us and not taught to us, but Tartaria, we're not being told about that. Why? Did somebody make some kind of threat to the Tartarians and say, you know, a bit like Game of Thrones, where she's got him strapped to the chair and she says, your lineage will die, your no one will remember your name, your house will be erased from memory, etc., etc., etc. And then she lets the dogs eat him. Do you remember that? If you guys have ever watched Game of Thrones, you know, and essentially that could be a way of saying this kind of thing to the Tartarians or the Star Forts, that whoever owned these or whatever, that at some point there was a promise made that your lineage, your history, your flag, everything about you, everything who you were, where you know, even your name will be erased from history, because it feels that that is just what's happening. Look at this Star Fort. Look at this. Look at that on the hill. Absolutely sensational. There isn't a castle in England that could match that. Look at it. I wonder if I can get bigger on that. Look at this. Just look at that, guys. Come on. How impressive is that? And I have some idiot coming in saying that he doesn't want me to talk about this on my channel. Well, why not? Why? What's the point? Does he not see that this is an important part of our history that we don't get taught about? This isn't spoken about or written in English books. I've never heard of this. Look at that. Who wouldn't want to go there? Look at the architecture that went into building that. This was a major civilization that built this. A major, major civilization. Where did they quarry the rocks from? They're on the top of a hill, for God's sake. How did they get the rocks up there? Who was the architect who built it? Who was the workers that built it? Why would they need to build such an impressive fortress on the top of the hill here? Was it a status thing? Or was it a military operation? Who lived in there? You know, you've got to ask all this. We aren't taught this, but why not? We should know about this, but would be history is being deliberately held back from us. And when I was reporting about, saying to you about the 9/11 stuff, that's exactly the same. The narrative for 9/11 will be a narrative in 60 years that it was those people in huts or a cave that actually did the 9/11 atrocities. When we know that it wasn't, right? And again, this is another thing. Was it just that history has decided to forget or wants to erase whoever these people are? You know, look at this compared to a pyramid. It's every much as impressive as a pyramid, every much as impressive as a castle, if not more so. But we aren't taught a single thing about it. Yeah. Time to open your eyes to all this stuff. it's just sensational stuff, right? I think it would appear that Nathan will be going live soon, so I guess I'm going to end this stream because we've got 10 minutes before the next one starts, and I think Nathan's slot is at 2 o'clock. So, hi Hyena, just give a few shouts out. Hyena, FPAV Angel, thanks for coming. Shane Walter. Why should we have been taught about them? Who is this guy? Be rational. Why should we have been taught about them? What is this guy for real? Do you not think it's important? I mean, are you actually just trolling here? Because when I'm talking about people that are still asleep, this is the kind of response that I would expect from somebody that is fast asleep and doesn't give a shit, right? Why should we have been taught about them? Well, ask yourself, why shouldn't we have been taught about them? That's more to the point, right? And that's what this is about. This is about finding out who we are, where did we come from? Get a spanner in the works. What's this? Wrench, please. JK. JK? JK. Individual one, perhaps a good target. I just feel a bigger fish to fry. I've never been called a troll. You've unsubbed, by the way. Okay. If you want to unsub, that's entirely up to you, mate. Listen, you know, I mean, up to you. If you want to miss out on content, that's great. My channel at the moment is growing at 10 a day. You know, it's hardly like I'm going to miss somebody unsubscribing to me. So, you know, do what you want, do what you feel. You know, if you felt like I slighted you in some way, then so be it. You know, I'm not going to be here begging for people to subscribe to my channel. If they do, they do. Who built them? Yeah, exactly. Who built them? You're right. Who did build them? We don't know. Justify calling me a troll. Well, I can't justify calling you a troll. Maybe you said something back in the past that was troll-like. There we go. Did I linger on it? No. You have to get over it. You got called a troll, mate. Trust me. You say you got called a troll. Did Simon Dan? Where are we? Is Simon done? You blah 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 blah. Well, if I called you a troll, mate, I just got called a turd gargling fuckwit. I've been told not to reproduce, blah, 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 blah. So essentially, I'm a knobhead, apparently, by Gary B. So I can take it, bud. That's what you have to do being a flat earther. You know, people say stuff. You either react to it or you pat yourself on the back and say, you know, I can rise above that. Sounds like you're giving a special importance to a bunch of pointy castles and then using it as proof of some conspiracy. No. Do you think it's just one pointy castle or two pointy castles? Is this your opinion? Or would you be talking hundreds and hundreds of pointy castles and hundreds of star castles and star forts? Yeah? Not just one or two. We're talking about more star forts in the world than castles. Yet we aren't taught this history. The star forts that are more impressive than castles, and we're not being taught about the history of star forts. If you don't think that is an important piece of our history that we're missing out on, that we're not being taught, then, and so what? Right. Okay. Okay. Bye-bye, B. I haven't got time to educate the people that want to stay asleep or to try and interact with people that want to stay asleep. I want people on my channel that want to open their eyes a little bit more. You're the one that fraction documents to be sent via email. Yes, you can send me them via email, Wizlaz. Let me give you my email in the side chat. I'll do it now. go. That's my email address. Yeah, don't forget Oaks next. Yet better wrap up. Thanks guys for stopping by. Appreciate everyone that came by. Got 57 watching now, which is brilliant. And yeah, peace. I hope I've stuck one in Miles Davis's eye for trying to debunk the Barrowing Furnace observations, which I really don't think anyone ever will. I don't think Miles Davis will want to come back at me after he's made himself such an arsehole in his last video. Right, peace out, guys, and I'll probably nip on Nathan's in a little bit, and I'll see you over there.